Man, it's so great to start our inside look at Saluki football this spring. We got tons of podcasts coming your way, video interviews as well. And why not? Let's start off with the head football coach himself, Nick Hill, who's also the offensive coordinator this year. Coach, appreciate the time. I know it wasn't too long ago. We kind of caught up as you get ready and going into the spring season so far. We're catching up with you after practice number one. What's been the mentality of the group, the personality of the group? Are you getting the feel that you want right now for early March?
Yeah. Number one, excited to get back out there on the field today. Just had driving in, even last night, telling my wife before, I was like, I'm just super excited to get back out there. I mean, obviously just kind of a chip on her shoulder, but just the excitement and appreciation. Never taken this job for granted. Good group of guys, like you mentioned. For right now, practice one, is everybody's excited to do that. But, through 8 weeks and of our off-season conditioning, enjoyed being around these guys. Feel like it's got a good personality. We got super long way to go. This is like I told them this morning. We team meet at 6:30 before we practice, and it's like this is really number one of 40 practices this team gets, and so not even in anywhere near to talk about what this team can be or will be. We have our vision and what our goals are, but now it's just putting our head down. It's about us just continually to get better. The evaluation process for us as coaches on how do we make this team the best, what do we need, how do different pieces fit together. And that's the exciting part for me. Like, I'm excited as soon as we get off here, the film's up, and we'll be in there for a couple hours watching the tape. So it's been a good group, obviously having some of the veterans that are back to really lead the way. I've been impressed by, the leaders on the team. I think the big thing that has made me excited is that, I think in this day and age, a lot of times it's like these guys – you hear this about all sports, like they can't be coached hard and stuff. These guys want to be coached hard, like hold us to a high standard. Don't let things slide. Make things tough. We had some tough winter conditionings, and then we meet as a leadership council. It's like, make it tougher. And so when you hear that from your guys, like 6 a.m. and you saw some of the like we went out there when it was ice and snow. Some years it went like, no, let's go outside. And so them wanting that, that's the first step of putting together a good team.
Look, it's not your first rodeo. You've had so many seasons that you've got to prepare for. But what do you find most successful in building those leadership traits right now? And not just so much as like after the first practice, but you talked about the winter conditioning, that piece of it. How do you set that up? Not that it's always a bulletproof system or, hey, if I do it exactly this way, it's always going to equate to this. But when you've had your really good teams in terms of leadership, how do you set up your winter to where you feel like you're going in the right direction when you're at this time of year?
Well, I think you got to create situations that there's leadership needed. If everything is pretty easy and the routine is the same, you can kind of get it. That's why leaders are for times that there needs to be a leader. Times of adversity, things get chaotic. A leader, and so you try to create things in your off season, and I tell them that maybe we change the schedule or we change the workout, or you think you're going to do this out there and we change it. How do you react? Because that is life, that is our game, and then leaders have to emerge amongst the chaos, like who has that within themselves to do that. And so then you can really evaluate, what this guy is, or when things get chaotic, he responds this way. And so you're really getting a good feel of their personalities and how they react and how they respond in certain situations. And so when you can create those type of deals, it's just as much off the field, of all the community service. I know Chris is going to put together, but we did the most community service here. I've been here 10 years in an off season than we have in 10 years. And so just evaluating all of that, who's leading those community service events. Like we put them in off season teams. Coach Terry's team won the event. most community service, less infractions throughout we do some competitions and stuff. But then it's like who's emerging in those settings, like who's always pushing their team to get to the basketball games and the swim meet, and who's going to softball, who's doing these things, and who's coordinating that. Then you can find out, okay, this guy has some leadership qualities. So, and then we get out there on the field and then in the football environment. So you're always trying to create that throughout the off season. Now it's a fun time that we get these 15 days that we can actually be on the field.
I want to speak with you mostly on the offensive side. We're going to catch up with Coach Prawn, and he'll kind of touch up on the defense. But, look, I know everyone, it kind of starts at the quarterback position with DJ. What have you been encouraged by of how DJ ended the season as a really good leader, even though he wasn't playing? He was still communicating, still out at practice. How now he's healthier. He's carried that over from conditioning and now into the spring.
Yeah, we've talked about this from going back to the fall. He just has a great demeanor about himself. I mean, that's the first thing. I enjoy being around DJ. It's the fun part. The whole quarterback room. I mean, Curry's got some stuff to him as well. Honestly, started more games here than DJ has. And so having both those guys, running the show here, there's a lot of command out there from day one to day. You could feel that just in the huddle. Now with me being over there, we have the helmet communication now, talking to them in their ear out there. Just so you feel like practice can get going because you got two guys out there. But DJ has a presence about himself. He does that, people gravitate to. He's a highly competitive kid. When you from workouts and to who's here all the time, that's what you have to do. But so there's not us putting that on him, and then the rest of the team being like, well, they're just putting the guy. He's earned that, and our guys see that. So I think any coach in the country would say, like, what can your quarterback do? And then we're going to go that way as an offense schematically and play to their strengths. And then up front as well. And so we'll continue to put that together, but I'm excited about it.
Look, there's always going to be bumps and bruises. I mean, no one exacts plays you more than when you go through a football season than what your team went through last year. But Noah Finsky gutted through so much last year. Just seeing him in the hallway and just seeing him at practice today, you could tell he looks the best version of himself that maybe we've seen in a while. What type of role do you see him filling, not just in terms of the leadership piece and the voice piece, which I think he's always had, but he's going to be a main part of your offensive line?
Yeah, I think for Noah, I agree. Just, last year going into the year, he hadn't played much football, at all in games. And so just having that full season, the ups and the downs, but really I feel like he started to play his best football towards the end of the year. So there's a confidence piece in that. And then, you get better with experience playing, starting. And now it's just it's a different, now in this off season, he's went through and played a ton of snaps, and it's different. We've got to see him out there in practice, but the games are different. And so Noah's the type of guy that can play up and down the line, if he has aspirations to go to the next level. So you'll see him out there at center. Obviously, he started the whole season at left tackle, but could easily play guard for us too. Is super versatile, works his tail off. And so just excited for him to be in such a good spot.
And how, even though it's early, I know your team's going to look much different come August and September than what it looks right now, as it should be, Coach Hill. But just seeing a healthy Aiden Quinn, healthy Ryan Schwindeman, that really changes a lot of things for your group too.
Yeah, we played the whole season without him last year, really. Just, AJ came back and played a little bit towards the end of the season, but then losing Swindy in the SEMO game and then being out for the whole season, our offense plays with tight ends. And so when you lose your top two guys, and then so having those guys back, and it's the same thing, the tight end position probably next to the quarterback, and then obviously center and O-line, but just they have to know everything: pass game, run game, protection. So there's an experience piece there, and there's a football intelligence piece, and those two guys are incredible at that. So having them guys back really makes us go at a smoother rate.
Do you guys look at your receiver position as an open book where there's a lot of guys who can maybe pencil in their name to where they could be a really key contributor, where right now it seems like you don't really maybe necessarily have that clear like a Deontay Cox, or last year you knew Kalu was going to be a big part of your offense and Hezekiah. I know Tamarero is going to be a huge part of this thing moving forward, but when you look at that group, is there part of a coach where you kind of like that a little bit, where it's pretty much wide open?
Yeah, no, I went around the room Monday night. I think we had a group meeting, an offensive meeting, and it's just like, Jathan, how many catches do you have? And not that many. Cam White has been here and has had an outstanding offseason, 0 catches. We've got transfers, and so it's like that's exciting.
Yeah.
That means like we have to go out there and compete. There's nobody penciled in. 1s, 2s, 3s. We all need reps, but we have a good group of guys. The guys that we brought in here, the few guys that we have coming back, Tay that you mentioned that we didn't really get to see play at all last year, has a great connection with DJ. He's a phenomenal kid. He's a worker. He's everything that you want. So I'm excited about that. That's why I'm excited to see how that all comes together and we get a good feel. You ask, like, what's the goals? Or Tom asked me, like, through spring. It's really after 15 practice, like, okay, he's really good at doing this. He's probably better in the slot. We can do these at these personnels. And then going into the summer, you have a good idea what those guys can do.
Coach, we'll have many more conversations throughout the spring. Look forward to them. Thanks for stopping by, and excited to see you guys back out there at Saluki Stadium.
All right. I appreciate it, Luke.